What's going on, folks? Welcome to Kids Today with Dr. Kamal Jones. I am Dr. Kamal Jones. In today's episode, we will talk about where things stand with the White House's attempts at freezing all federal funding, including billions of dollars for kids. And we will discuss RFK Jr.'s confirmation hearing for Secretary of Health and Human Services. Before we get going, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment to share your thoughts. Remember to do that. We'd love to hear from you. Let's get into it. So, at the top, most of us have seen by now, earlier this week, instructions came out of the White House Office of Management and Budget instructing a full freeze on all federal funding. It was extremely unclear what programs would potentially qualify, what would not, potentially involving trillions of dollars. And this sent, honestly, without even like an ounce of hyperbole, every institution in the country into some form of chaos. Specifically as it relates to kids, this graphic from our friends over at First Focus on Children shows that $329 billion with a B of child-related funds was at risk of being frozen by this administration. Programs ranging from SNAP, which is a food assistance program, to Head Start and Early Head Start, crucial child education, early child development programs, and a ton of other critical services were all spiraled into confusion. Let me give you an update about where we are right now. So minutes before this was due to take effect, a federal judge put a block on this through Monday, February 2nd. He put a kibosh on it, right? Later in the week, the White House then rescinded the memo. So the hope was that perhaps this was the end of this particular attempt at defunding. But then the White House press secretary went on and doubled down and basically said that, yes, the memo is gone because it obviously caused some confusion, but we still plan on moving forward with this freeze. And so basically in response to that, this past Friday, January 31st, a second judge put an indefinite block on this, citing really those comments from the press secretary and saying that this is going to go through the full process of legal review before it can take effect. So it is an indefinite block that has been put on this freeze. So thankfully for now, it seems that these programs will carry forward, but honestly, many of them were already impacted just by the confusion alone. Some of these programs reported snags in funding access. Many of us saw that the Medicaid websites went down for all 50 states. Head Start access was down. Even without implementation actually taking place for this funding freeze, it already had a real impact. And so we'll be watching closely to see how these court cases play out. Okay. Let's talk RFK Jr. and actual time-sensitive action item for all of us. So in past episodes, we have talked about RFK Jr. and concerns that many of us have had about him in a health leadership role. He is, as we know, the nominee for Secretary of Health and Human Services from the Trump administration. And this past week, he actually completed Senate confirmation hearings with the Senate Health Committee and the Senate Finance Committee as well. And so I actually watched decent chunks of both of these hearings, and my overall takeaway was just cementing the fact that he is not an adequate candidate when it comes to the health and the well-being of children of this country. So while there are some things that are good for kids, things like improvements to food quality that he's in favor of, the danger of his confirmation far outpaces any benefit. And that number one danger as far as kids are concerned is that pseudoscience related to vaccination that he has throughout his career pushed forward, including during this confirmation, an unwillingness to clearly state what has now been settled science, that vaccines do not cause autism. Vaccines are our number one tool for preventing infectious diseases that have killed or disabled millions of children across the globe. We cannot have a Health and Human Services secretary that does not support vaccination. It is literally incompatible with the job. It is a a sailor who does not believe in water. It is an engineer who does not believe in math. It does not work. The other thing that really stood out to me was that he frankly demonstrated a poor grasp on the details of Medicaid and lacked a really strong support for the future of Medicaid as well. For kids, upwards of 35% of them actually rely on Medicaid nationwide. In some states like California, where I most recently lived, upwards of 50% of children rely on Medicaid. It is essentially a child health program. And so while we always need to be striving to improve it, we can't have a Health and Human Services secretary who does not understand or respect this core child health program. And so to that end, core action item for all of us. I'm putting a link in the bio. You can click the link. It's going to tee up for you how to write a super easy letter to your senators, asking them to vote against the RFK Jr. confirmation. You press a button, you put in your name, your email address, then you can write in a sentence or two, and then you can press send. It is super simple. Okay, my friends, that is our episode for this week. Make sure, as always, to like the video if you enjoyed it, hit the subscribe button. And if you can, take just a minute to write something in the comment section, letting me know how you have felt this week moving through all of the kind of chaos of the news as related to children. I am excited that we are building this community together. Would love to hear from you. Until next time, take care.